Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this InVivo Quest session for 2020-2021. My name is Marie-Cécile DAMAVE. I am the moderator of this session. I'm the head of innovation and international affairs in the French think tank named Agridées, and I'm happy to be with you for this for the next hour. So the focus on this 1 hour discussion today is augmented traceability, how to ensure trust and shared value from farmer to consumer. So I think we'll need some definition exercise by our various speakers on what is augmented traceability from their point of view. So a few words about InVivo Quest to start with. InVivo Quest actually is an international program that aims to detect innovative project holders and startups in agtech and food tech. This year, the InVivo Quest tour focuses on Europe and on two major themes, on two major issues: climate change and farming transitions, and of course, food transition. So this is really an innovation challenge. The Quest tour is organized in various sessions, and today's conference is part of a session that is focusing on Southwest Europe. So to discuss this topic of augmented traceability, we have three great speakers today, and we'll also have a video. So the first speaker will be Carole ROCCA. Carole ROCCA is actually the director for Fermes leader in Bioline by InVivo, and she's also the director for Agriprogress, which is an InVivo initiative that you're going to hear a lot about during this session. Frédéric VOLLE, you are the director of the development of sectors and agro-industries in Bioline by InVivo, and also project leader in Agriprogress. Then we will have a video from the Val France cooperative, sort of feedback from a cooperative from the InVivo group on the various actions that are taken in the field. And then we will hear from Christophe BONNO. Christophe BONNO, you're the Director of Agricultural Institutional Relations in the Mousquetaires group, this big retailer group in France, especially for food. So, and for you in the audience, who are watching this webinar, you're welcome to ask your questions using the Q&As button that is in the bottom of your screen, right there in the middle bottom. So please click on it. Don't use the discussion button, but the Q&As button, so that we can see your questions and take them as they come. Okay, so let's start. Carole, so first question, what is augmented traceability from your point of view? And could you please explain us what is this Agriprogress program? I think more from the upstream stakeholder point of view.
Yes, thank you, Marie-Cécile. I think that one in the most important issue today in agriculture is how reassure consumers and citizens on the security and quality in food, especially in agricultural productions, just exactly, yeah, like you said just 1 minute ago. And augmented traceability is I think the possibility for digital technologies to bring specific information to consumers according to agricultural practices of each farmers. The more farmers will perform their practices, the more the consumers will measure the results thanks to specific indicators, and these indicators are available online. And in the other hand, because of this traceability, it will be possible to thank the farmers for their investment and the time they spend to complete all these informations. In fact, I used to say that augmented traceability can be summed up as how digital technologies reorganize food chains and provide consumers with more trust, as well as farmers with more value. Mm-hmm. So what is Agriprogress? Perhaps, yes, thank you. Agriprogress is a digital platform where each member of the food chain can observe the impact of a specific production on agriculture issue, especially climate change and biodiversity. That's why in this project, we work with all the actors of the food chain, and first of all, the farmers. And in this platform, each farmer can see his own results from his own practices. We work with cooperatives. They have a very important role in how lead farmers in new practices. And of course, we work with food industry. We can see consolidated results. And this is the key to have a better answer to consumer and citizens, needs of consumers and citizens. And that's why we work also with an association, l'atelier consommateurs et citoyens, where consumers can explain what they expect from agriculture. So in this project, during the last year, 2020, we work with 30 farmers in wine and wheat, with 4 cooperatives, 4 food industry, and this association where we met around the 40, yes, I think 40, in fact, 4 groups of consumer and citizens all around the national territory in France.
So I understand this initiative was created in 2019, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Next, please. Yes, exactly. But just before speaking about this experience in 2019, perhaps I can specify the aims of Agriprogress approach. It's really a single platform for all the actors of the food chain, upstream and downstream players, with benefits for each of them. For example, you can see here the 3 main objectives of this tool: meeting consumer expectations by proposing appropriate performance indicators, enable upstream stakeholders to monitor and promote their good agri-environmental practices, and giving downstream players access to reliable and trusted information in their sector. As you just said, this current project is based on a workshop which set up and closed in 2019. And we delivered the first version of the platform last year in 2020. And this platform, all the information of this platform are based on the conclusions of this workshop. And it's true, the name of this project is now Agriprogress V2.
Okay, so the version 2, the second version of the first project. So I understand the whole purpose is to bring more transparency in the food chain, because it's very often what consumers criticize about food chains. They are too obscure. They don't know where their food comes from, how it was produced. And the focus of the transparency for Agriprogress is really the environmental practices
yes,
by farmers and upstream stakeholders, right?
Yes, exactly. This is one of the main points of the digital, the objectivity of the information and the possibility to have this information everywhere you want. And one of the big benefits of Agriprogress is to calculate some specific indicators to understand the benefits and the impact of all this practice on the issue like climate change.
Mm-hmm. So it's still a work in progress, right? It's you are still building on these indicators, right?
Yes, we have, Frédéric will explain where we are exactly today, but we have a real first version with around, as I said, 30 farmers who shared their informations. And we have the next step, of course, because it's just the beginning of a big project for France, but I think also for a European scale, because climate change is not a national issue. In fact, it's really interactive between them.
Okay, so adaptation to climate change is a point of interest.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Next. And thanks to this workshop in 2019, in fact, we listed the benefits for and the feedback of each of this actor. And for example, first of all, upstream actors like farmers and cooperatives. So for farmers, they need real-time data viewing in their commitments towards towards the food industry, optimization of data acquisition, multiple valorization of their performance indicators, and access to numerous services and opportunities to improve their economic and environmental performance. And for cooperative, the possibility to manage and monitor all the specifications followed by the cooperative, document the quantity and the quality of accessible data. The quality is really a very important point of the efficiency of all these indicators, and to support and engage the farmers during the production season. As I said, cooperatives lead farmers to discover and use new practices. So it's really important to evaluate and monitor the efficiency of each of them.
Mm-hmm. So I think at this point, documenting the quantity and quality of accessible data is really interesting. The quality of the raw data, the basic data, seems to be really important, and it's probably this point probably requires some training for these stakeholders to be able to record adequate data so that they do have a meaning and be trusted.
Yes. I think what it's interesting in Agriprogress too is to work with the FMS system, farm managing system, which have all this kind of information for each farmers. So it's not easy, but easier perhaps to calculate some true and robust indicators. Mm-hmm. The more those informations will be strong and clear, the more the indicators will be concrete for the consumers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. These indicators will be visible to consumers, to both producers and consumers, right?
Yes, not for the moment, in fact, but because we have to work with farmers and industry to be sure of those indicators and the meaning of those indicators. But it will be necessary, and we think about it, to bring this information to the consumers. And that is a role for industry too, to bring those information to consumers.
Okay, thank you, Carole. I think it's time for me to give the floor to Frédéric. So let's continue on the same slide and go to downstream stakeholders.
Okay,
and I want your definition of augmented traceability first.
I remember you asked a question. You have to ask a question. So, hello everybody. So maybe before, so the question is about the definition of augmented traceability. But before answering the question, please allow me to restate the role of the challenges of the agricultural transition for the downstream stakeholder. The question is what is at stake for the food industry in terms of agro-ecological transition. I joined the InVivo group in September 2019 as business director dedicated to the food industry and retailer. And I also became a member of the dream team led by Carole, director of Agriprogress. And my job consists of fostering and enhancing, improving the relationship with downstream key player. So that's my job. So, and what can I say about this player? And Christophe BONNO from Intermarché will have a reliable testimony about it, but general overview, these players are really involved in helping and supporting their supply chain towards the agroecological transition. So that is a big commitment. You can see every day press release, etc. So you can see it, and this is demonstrated by numerous commitments, as I said. Okay. From CSR strategy, CSR reports. So that is a fact. And this is a huge wave, I would say, in 2020. And I think it will increase for the next year. But the problem is for this stakeholder, the problem is how to reach available and accurate indicator from the supplier. That is the key point. How? And sure, of course, we can have an answer. There is a possibility of making inquiries, survey, you know, with data, etc. But it takes a lot of time to set up and monitor these inquiries, this survey. As much on the industrial side, it takes time, so it costs. Okay, but on the other hand, for the farmer, he has to fulfill questionnaire and questionnaire for Intermarché, questionnaire for Carrefour, and that is a huge amount of time, and that is a key point. The augmented traceability, in our point of view, is to allowing information from agricultural practices to reach the consumer in a way that promotes progress and value. And the key point is that farmer and technician have already a lot of information. They have already a lot of information related to practice. And the key point is to use this information, to change, to upgrade. So there is a big, huge work, and that is a key point in Agriprogress, to use this data, reliable, accurate, but also marketing design for that in order to convince the consumer. Okay, so that is a point. we have some information from the plot, that daily monitoring from precision agriculture. So we have to use this information that is traceability, but it is augmented with the marketing value. So that is my response, Marie-Cécile, for the first the question. So what about the slideshow here? We're talking about benefits. So I will focus on the food industry. So the food industry can find information quick, as it's in the slide, quick availability, simplicity, reliability, as I said, of result on agro-environmental or CSR commitment. So that is the key point. And the augmented traceability allows the food company to create value and base consumer-oriented allegation on evidence, while farmer can be paid and a beneficial action highlighted at the consumer level. So Agriprogress now, as Carole already said, is an operational prototype, I don't know, that can provide marketing value to agronomic indicators. So it allows the industry to base its communication on evidence rather than greenwash its image on fake criteria. So that is a key point for the marketing team, for example, in the big company. So the next slide, please. Okay, I will explain now how it works, and I will comment at the right of the slideshow. And we have to start with the information above. First, we want to meet a consumer expectation. That is a key point. It is not an agronomic platform with very complex indicators. We want to meet consumer expectation about how to tackle the climate change, how to improve biodiversity, etc. So you know that. Well, thanks to easily understandable indicator, because this is a complex commitment, and we have to make it easy for whole stakeholder. It's simple to say, it's not simple to do. You agree with that?
Yeah, if I understand well, it's difficult to make it easy both for farmers but also for consumers to understand, right?
Exactly. We have a huge amount of data. We have so many information, but the aims are different. The issue are objective, and we have to match this information. But the key point is to maintain the reliability, and to maintain the accuracy, or we have to be accurate concerning this data. So third thing in this cycle, in this diagram, followed and adopted by farmer for their workability and sensitivity. It will work, only if it's simple, only if we have a good training, as you said before. It's a key point. Accessible to efficient and dynamic guidance. We're talking about progress. It is not something that you have to name and shame and say, okay, it's a good rating. You have to accompany. This is a progress démarche. And at the end of this diagram, valuable for all partners. It is a win-win operation. What is the added value for the retailer, for the food industry, for the farmer? And the last but not at least the point is to enhancing the link between the farmer and the stakeholder from downstream. It is a key point. The food industry, the retailer, have a lot commitment about the relationship with farmer. They said we want to accompany a lot of farmer. We can talking about McDonald's, we can talking about Intermarché, etc. And they want to improve, to enhance the link between the upstream and the downstream, and so as to filling the CSR strategy and food brands. So the result is unique, connect upstream, downstream, as you understand, and enhance each stage of the production. So that is the global view. We will launch now the video for the testimony of Adrien. Marie-Cécile, I let you.
Yeah. Okay. So
go.
yeah, we have the opportunity to watch a short video from Adrien Savary. He's the head of quality and downstream development in a cooperative named Val France, and he's going to talk about his own experience. His own experience regarding some specifications like agri-confiance and consumers' needs, etc. Let's watch.
Aujourd'hui, le consommateur, c'est plutôt un consommateur qui est en attente de produits plus sains, plus durables et qui est demandeur d'informations sur le processus de production agricole. Dans le cadre du système Agri-Confiance et de la démarche qualité Val France, on a développé une politique de signes de qualité. Val France aujourd'hui alimente de nombreuses filières tracées et environ 530 producteurs dans le cadre d'Agri-Confiance alimentent ces filières. Via le référentiel Agri-Confiance, ces producteurs bénéficient d'une reconnaissance officielle du bon respect du deuxième niveau de la certification environnementale. Aujourd'hui, quels sont les freins que la coopérative rencontre dans le cadre des filières? Le premier frein, c'est notre capacité à mettre en valeur et à valoriser les bonnes pratiques agro-environnementales de nos agriculteurs, en particulier auprès du consommateur. Deuxième frein, c'est la collecte et la numérisation des données de traçabilité qui nous permettent de calculer des indicateurs agro-environnementaux qui nous sont demandés par certaines filières et qui sont également suivis dans le cadre de la démarche RSE de la coopérative. Et enfin, on a également des difficultés pour évaluer en masse l'éligibilité de nos exploitations agricoles pour le troisième niveau de la certification environnementale. Aujourd'hui, le consommateur, c'est plutôt un consommateur qui est en attente de produits plus durables et qui est demandeur d'informations.
Okay, so thank you for this video. I think it was a good illustration from what's going on in the fields and from some specific cooperatives in particular. Just a few words about this environmental certification. I think it's the HVE, the High Environmental Value label that was mentioned, and I think we'll get back to this. Actually, it's a national label that is France-based right now, but it could actually go to a more European level. And I think Frédéric is going to give us a few details about that. And then we'll need to move on to Christophe after a last slide. And I'd like to remind the audience that there is a Q&A button that anybody can click on to ask questions or send remarks to the speakers. Frédéric.
Okay, so thank you. So Adrien Savary, the testimony here, talked about Agri-Confiance, which is a standard specification, and it is a good basis for the indicator, and also HVE, but we will see it in the next slide. So if you can go further for the next slide, thank you very much. Here is the priorities of our first deliverable. So what are the indicators we're talking about? Before I comment this slide, just let's precise a key point about the consumer and the indicator. In Bioline, in Agriprogress, we don't want to develop a new label. Okay, we don't want to provide a new label, a new app. Okay, we want to provide tangible proof with data. We are at the services of label and brands, and there's so many brands, there's so many initiatives. Okay, but we want to fuel this initiative with relevant data. So, okay, so this is our deliverable. So we are already talking about, we have already talked about farmer interface. So in order to raising awareness and engaging, it's a key point, engage the movement. We want to optimizing data entry time. It's a key point for the farmer. We have two sectors, so the wheat and the wine sector, the grape wine sector, and we have two available indicators. So the first is HVE, haute valeur environmental in French, high value, environmental high value in English, so you can translate it easily. So it is when we launched this operation, I will say 2 years ago, it was the beginning of HVE, so in France, and now we realize that it is something very very strong. It's a very good basis of information, and you have on the bottom the screenshot with an example, and you can see what is the dashboard. The dashboard allows the farmer, but also the cooperative and the food industry, allow to monitor biodiversity with scoring. The data relating to phytosanitaire, to the pesticides, etc., but also about the water, and the other about the fourth one. Oh, I can see it. I don't remember. Thank you, Marie-Cécile. So we have a dashboard related to indicators that are collected in HVE, and that is something up and running. Okay, that's not a prototype. It is up and running in the farm. So that is the first point. But as you said, as you know, HVE is not the only response must have for the consumer, and especially related to the carbon footprint, which is very, very important, and that is not so really important in HVE. Okay, so we have developed our own indicator, and you can see it at the screenshot, and it is based on data and calculators. And what is interesting is the way which we expose this information. It's a simple way to expose the information. You can see different color from the red to the green, and with a calculator, you have a positioning. It's like your refrigerator. You have a classification, a rating, A, B, C, about the energy consumption. It's simple to have a quick look on the carbon footprint. And this is just the first step, and I will finish the presentation. This is the first step about the carbon footprint indicator. This is a simple indicator now, but at this moment we are working on different type of indicator. In France, we have the label bas carbone, which is a leverage, a big leverage, a huge leverage, so as to create credit carbon and a new revenue, a new income for the farmer. And the question about the value is a key question with our partner, Mousquetaires. And
that's a very good transition. Thank you, Frédéric. I think we need to move on because time is flying. Yeah. So thank you very much for your presentation. Christophe, we heard a lot already about creating evidence-based traceability from the producer to the consumer across the food chain, about this evidence-based marketing, how to increase transparency across the food chain, and Les Mousquetaires, your group, the group you represent here, has been involved with Agriprogress since the beginning. So I'd like to hear your point of view. First, a few words about the group, Les Mousquetaires, and then the various actions that are being taken right now by your group on this regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie-Cécile. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your invitation at this InVivo Quest. First, some figures about the Mousquetaires Intermarché Group. First is the independent group with more than 3,000 independent entrepreneurs. 4,000 stores in Europe, and the turnover is 45 billion euros. Next slide, please. The historic brand is Intermarché, with less than 2,400 stores in Europe. It's a supermarket store, the little size. And the Intermarché asserts that proximity is a major value, with a store every 17 kilometers on average in France. It's very important. Next slide. Mousquetaires Group include an agro-food cluster. The name is Agro-Mousquetaires. Agro-Mousquetaires is 4 billion euro turnover with 62 production units and a fleet of 23 vessels and more than 11,000 employees. Next slide, please. The Agro-Mousquetaires cluster make it possible to control the manufacturing process and to ensure the quality and the price of the products sold under our private brand. It's a key player in responsible production practices with the approach of farm to fork. Next slide. Yes, with its unique producer in retailers model, Intermarché focuses commitment on consumer well-being. It's better producing with sustainable French production and better eating with helping the French people eat a little healthier every day. It's very important for us. How we do that? The first is to building political commitment, for example, like HVE. After that, we make a brand positioning and promote new attractive product with exclusive concept with our brands. You have an example here. And we are acting, we do the acting for the future with an implementation of expert committees with NGO like Greenpeace, WWF, Well Farm, etc. In agroecology or sustainable seafood or welfare. Today, the consumer and the society want us to develop a green agriculture by reducing the use of chemicals, ensure ground fertility, or improve water management, promote more biodiversity. All this action will diminish the carbon footprint. It's why we make this investment on the third line of agriculture, agroecology. It's important because it's between organic and basic agriculture. It's complementary. It's that we want to do by we built a roadmap. Next slide. And for that, we built a roadmap with our improvement plan with some partnership like a cooperative and and farmer. And this roadmap, we done diagnostic experiments, market test, and sharing a good practice. We began this 4 years ago. And after that, next slide, we built the volume and reference roadmap in three, in wheat, in wine, and in fruit and vegetable. And we increase the volume every day. Next slide, we really want to develop the range of HVE labeled product in our store. On packs, you see, for example, for the baguette, the HVE label face low visibility among French consumers. And it's difficult to explain that with simple words. The HVE label reputation must be improved, is the big problem. Consumers are not willing to pay extra costs for a label they don't necessarily understand. This is what's happening in our HVE baguettes. And our first priority is to develop the reputation of the HVE label. You see in this slide, where is the reputation of HVE label? It's the last, is here. And for example, you have the label rouge label, the first, or the organic label, AB, it's here. It's the last, and it's our propriety to increase this repetition. We do that in 2021 with the Agriculture Ministry, the French Agricultural Ministry, because it's a public label, not private label. Next slide. We want to provide safety, confidence, transparency, and more traceability to the consumers. And we are also working on addressing current trends in food transition, including, for example, recyclable packaging, food products reformulation, like substituting chemicals with natural additives, taking into account animal welfare, or elimination of pesticide residues. And to explain all this action, the best solution will be to look for information online. On pack is not enough. And the consumer want to choose the products according to their personal preferences. And to help them, we develop a new application connected to a database, which collects all data needed by the consumers. For example, product origin, friendly farmer practices, carbon footprint, etc. And the technical solution include blockchain, QR codes, tutorial, etc., and Agriprogress. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any question?
Yes, we have actually a few questions from the audience. Actually, the first one is more a reaction than a question. This person says, as a consumer, I want to see a clear indication, not something complicated that is used to justify a higher price. I want low price, high enough quality, transparency on producer and place. So I think it really sums up with all the various explanations, and especially you, Christophe, the complexity of the criteria that you want to label at the consumer end is really high, and it's difficult to understand by consumers. So it's probably one of the biggest challenges is how to explain in simple words or with simple tools something that is very complex at the farmer's end.
Yes, it's a big difficulty because the consumer want a lot of things, but it's not ready to pay the price. And with the high-tech solution, we are able to provide to the consumer information or quality with a price with a good price. But it's true that all the food transition increase the price because the practices it's more expensive. Mm-hmm. And our big challenge is to continue to do this food transition and to tell a story to the consumer, to tell a story to the consumer, a story which give him the way to accept a little a price, a little to accept to pay more, because it's important for us and for his health. It's okay. the challenge.
Yeah. There's another question here about the European level for all this discussion. This person would like to know whether the high environmental value label has a potential at the European level, like the organic label. It's also a question I'd like to ask about Agriprogress. Could Agriprogress be also used at the European level, and what would be the next steps?
Perhaps I can begin. 2 points. First of all, on HVE for not for only from France, but for European level. We can imagine that there is a lot of very interesting information in HVE, which shows that the farmers make really big efforts to transform their practices. So, in fact, it's possible to use this label for different land, in fact.
Different countries.
The problem is what said Christophe. It's knowing of this label.
Yeah, the consumer awareness is low.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes, of course. But there is, he's very complete. There is biodiversity, reduce of
phytosanitary products. Yeah.
Thank you. There is impact of fertilization. So there is not information about the climate change. So it's important to have another, to have other informations to be sure this issue is considered. But in fact, if you have climate change and HVE, I think we have a large panel of information, and it fits for different kind of agriculture, different kind of situations, so can be used. And if you don't mind, okay, you ask about the next step. I want to let a few minutes for my partners. Carbon is the main point. In fact, we can say there is 3 objectives. First of all, climate change. We have the GES, but
greenhouse gas emissions.
Thank you. But what is interesting for agriculture in this issue is we have to reduce our impact, but we can provide some solutions by storing carbon in soil with agriculture. So it's really important to work on the 2 tasks, and carbon is really our objective for the next months. And the second one is to be sure that the efforts of the farmers to transform his practices will bring him some value at the end of the work. So this is a real point, and this is a link with new technologies like blockchain. We hope, and we're quite sure, in fact, and we work on that those new technologies will help us to bring value, not only for consumers, it's really important, but for farmers too. And I think that's all. And the last questions about how inform senior people of this level. I think the link between generation is the key point of this step. Young people have to help older people to discover and know what is good for them with new technologies.
Frédéric, I think you wanted to add something. You're on mute.
Yep. Okay, it's okay. Yes, in addition that, maybe a response relating to the business model. The key question is about the price, is about how to pay for these upper costs from the farmer. We are at a crossroads between a lot of mainstream. We have on one hand consumer, and the consumer wants simple information on pack, and HVE could be a response in France and maybe on a European level. You can hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. But also the consumer can find information online. Okay. The consumer who want to go further, who want to find more information, this consumer can find information in different apps. So the first leverage is about the consumer. The second leverage is about the carbon, because the carbon is a new income for the farmer. So we are working at the moment on a business model, multiple business model for the farmer. The question is how to build or rebuild a new foundation with different type of income for the farmer. We have the European funding. As you know, there is a huge change about the European funding, politique agricole commune. So these are the key points, but not only the consumer, as I said, and the carbon footprint. So the question, the key points, these are very different information. These are different issue, but the key point is the data from the farmer. And what we are trying to do with Agriprogress is to put a prototype with key information from the farmer and address different type of user, food industry, and also end user consumer, carbon buyer tomorrow. They want to have information, European funding, etc., etc. And this is not one response. This is not a single response, but a multiple type of response. And this is what we're working on with the business model in Bioline Agriprogress.
Okay, thank you, Frédéric. We are running out of time, but I want to give the floor to Christophe again, because I think he had a good point about the carbon footprint labeling, because there are some experimentations right now at the level of Mousquetaires.
Just with the problem of the price, I think that the price is not a problem. When you have a good story, when you tell a good story to the consumer, you are able to arrive to that he accept the price. For example, this is a bottle of milk. It's very expensive. It's the most expensive on the market. But in this story, you give the half of the price to the farmer. And it's a success on our store, this product. when we are able to tell the good story, the consumer is okay to pay. Yes, it's very important to have a very simple explication on pack. It's difficult because we try to reduce the pack and we want to make a lot of information in this. So it's a very
just
problem.
1 minute.
Yes, we work today with the ADEME. The ADEME is the French Agency for Ecological Transition. And ADEME has launched several experimental carbon footprint labeling, and Intermarché is leading one of them, like the scale of Nutri-Score. And Agriprogress will give part of this information needed for its test. This could be the European solution for tomorrow for the carbon footprints, for example.
Okay, I think we have to wrap up right now, and I need to thank you now. We could continue to have this conversation for the whole afternoon, but unfortunately we don't have the time. So thank you to the three of you. Thank you very much. Just a few words, from the top of my mind, the keywords of this conference today: evidence-based marketing, accuracy, reliability, traceability, transparency, progress, and value, fueling the CSR strategy, and exploring carbon footprint and high environmental value, of course. Well, the next InVivo Quest session will take place on February the 16th, so we hope to see you then. Thank you very much to all.